Hey, I'm Chris Jacchio,
And I'm Jason McGinty.
and we are Tier 1 Viking Barbell.
Come on, pull. Yeah!
Block, big time!
Hey guys, so I just got back from Vegas this weekend. I was competing in Strongman Corp Nationals. Had a great time, learned a lot competing, and I'm going to talk about that today, as well as a little bit about what's coming up next for me in the near future. Before we get to the events, I want to go over a couple changes that were made on the fly to the competition. I'm not exactly sure why these changes were made. I just know that it had something to do with the hotel casino where the competition was held. For whatever reason, things changed. It happens in Strongman sometimes. So the changes had to do with the event order. So the event order was changed. Originally it was supposed to be log press, yoke farmers medley, frame deadlift on day 1, and then Husafell stone, stone of steel on day 2. That ended up changing to, we still stayed with the log press for the first event, but after that we went to the frame deadlift and then the Husafell stone to finish out day 1. Then on day 2, we started with just a yoke carry rather than a yoke farmers medley. So it was just a yoke carry, 60 feet one way, and then finished up with the stone of steel. I think the reason that the medley was changed to just a yoke may have been that the lanes were too narrow to accommodate a yoke and farmer's handles side by side. That's just speculation. I don't know if that's actually the reason, but it seems like it could be the reason. Without further ado, let's get to the events. All right, first event here, we have the log clean and press for reps at 280 pounds. Now, like I said before, this weight is pretty close to my all-time log PR of 287 pounds. So I knew this was going to be a tough event for me. Was still hoping for a rep or two, but on the first attempt here, just didn't get anything out of my legs. The log got a little bit forward out of the groove, and then I made the mistake of holding it at my sticking point for a good 3 to 4 seconds trying to grind out that rep. Kind of blew any chance I had of maybe getting one on the second or third attempt. I did try it 2 more times, but at this point it was a little bit of an exercise in futility. I just didn't have anything left after that first attempt. At this point, I'm trying to stay calm a little bit, conserve energy, wait till the end of the 60 seconds. Hopefully, maybe I could grind one out on the last rep. Didn't happen though, so I'm a little bit disappointed with the first event 0 here, but it happens sometimes in Strongman. All there is to do is just shake it off and move on to the next one. Now, before I show you the frame deadlift, I want to talk about the setup a little bit. These Bartos frames were actually farmer's handles converted into frames with the use of spacers. And these spacers were set up in such a way that the handles can freely rotate. It's a little hard to describe without seeing it. You'll see it in the video. But basically the effect of that is that if you don't set the frame down perfectly, it can get diagonal. It can turn into a parallelogram instead of a rectangle like it normally is, which was a little goofy. So I'm going to show you the video. I'll mention it when it comes up in there. You might not be able to see it very well, but we'll see. Just keep that in mind. It made things a little bit weird on the frame deadlift. Second event, the frame deadlift for reps at 720 pounds. Now, my best sets in training for this event were 685 for 5 and 720 for some singles. So I was expecting 2, maybe 3 reps on this event, but I strapped in and pulled that first rep and it just flew up. It was way faster than I expected it to be. And after the second and third rep came up just as fast, I started to think I should be shooting for double digits on this event. So I ended up pulling 10 reps, which I couldn't have been more happy with. You can see after a few reps that the frame starts to go a little bit diagonal on me like I was talking about before. I compensated for that by just adjusting my foot position a little bit, so it didn't end up affecting me that much. I found out later the frame was actually misloaded to 690 rather than 720. Still a huge PR, and after that first event 0, I needed a good confidence booster, and this gave it to me. Couldn't have been more happy with the result, and greatly exceeded my expectations here. Finished out day 1 with a 350-pound Husafell stone carry for distance. My PR in training for this event was 240 feet. I really wanted 300. That's the number I had in my head as the number I wanted to beat. Fell just shy of that at 284 feet. That was still good for a 10th place finish, which is my first top 10 event finish at Nationals, and ended up being one of my best events as I expected. Now, for those of you who have never done a weighted carry for distance like this, let me tell you, it is a gut check. There's nothing pleasant about this. You'll see on this last length of the course here, everything is on fire. Just legs, back, biceps, grip. And by the end of this, I'm just desperately holding on, trying to grind out as many steps as I can before I fail. Now, the cool thing about this event was my judge that you see walking alongside there. That is Martins Lichas. He is the 24th place at the 2017 World's Strongest Man. He was walking alongside, making sure that my foot touched the line on every length of the course. He was also giving me motivation and tips the whole way. That was really cool. Got to meet him, chat with him for a minute, and take this total fangirl picture after the event. So that was a really cool experience. Started day 2 with my other best event, 720 yoke for 60 feet in 9.44 seconds for my second 10th place finish of the contest. And last event, the 310-pound stone of steel loaded over a 52-inch bar for reps. First of all, I apologize for the camera angle here. With the way this event was set up in the contest venue, it was a little bit hard to get a good camera angle, but you should still be able to see what's going on pretty well. That first rep there at 310 was a PR for me. The heaviest stone I had lifted in training was a 290, so as you can see, I got pretty excited about it. I made 2 more attempts and came fairly close, but unfortunately my posterior chain was just done for after 2 full days of competing, and I just couldn't extend those last few inches to make those second and third attempts. So I ended up with 1 rep here, which did drop me a few spots in the standings, but I was still happy with the PR and happy not to zero another event. So at the end of the day, I'm decently happy with this result. So overall assessment of my performance, it was a good performance, not a great performance. I did PR on 4 of 5 events. However, I did have that 1-0 that with a weight that I'm capable of lifting. So always room for improvement. I did have a good show though. It was a good performance. I'm happy with it overall. A couple little mental notes I've made that will factor into my training going forward. First of all, pressing is still a weakness. It has been for a while, and I'm going to be focusing on bringing that up a lot. Second note is that on deadlift events in particular, for 2 competitions in a row now, I've done way better in competition than in training. I'm not sure why that is. It could have something to do with the competition setup being slightly more optimal for me than the setup that I had been using in training. It could also be that competition adrenaline just helps me out way more on deadlift events in particular. I don't know what it is, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that information, but it's something that's happened and I'm keeping it in mind. So overall, I had a great time and I learned a lot. It was really cool to be around all those high-level competitors. I will be back next year, be a year stronger and a year better. This is just the beginning, and I'm excited to see where this is going to go next. So lastly, I want to talk a little bit about what my training is going to look like coming up in the near future. So I'm going to be taking a little bit of an off season, and all I mean by that really is that I'm going to be taking some focus off of event training for a while. I'm not going to be training for any specific event. I'm going to go back to the foundation and focus most of my energy on building foundational strength with barbell movements. So that's what you can expect to see in those training logs that we talked about in the last video. Over the next few months, I'll be mostly focusing on going back to the basics, building foundational strength with barbell movements. Event training is going to take a back seat for a while. I don't have a contest picked out yet that I'm going to train specifically for, but that will probably end up being around April or May timeframe, maybe a little bit earlier. We'll see. I'm actually gonna sit down and talk to my coach right when I'm done recording this, so I'll have more information after that. For now, barbell movements are gonna be the main focus, building general strength, so I'll have a better foundation next time I want to train specifically for a contest. I will still be competing at Mob City Strongest Man in December. I won't be training specifically for it. It's only about 3 weeks away, so there's not a whole lot of time to train for it anyway. I'm gonna have to rely on the strength I've built over the years to be good at that. I probably will run a couple of the contest events this weekend, so you can expect to see that in the video for next week, the first training log video. So I want to thank my coach, Chris Jacchio. He's the one who writes all my programming. I also want to thank my dad, whose name is also Chris. He made the trip from Kansas to Las Vegas to watch me compete this weekend. He's also responsible for taking all those contest videos that you just saw. So thanks to him for that. And congrats to the rest of the Alabama Strength Tier 1 Viking Barbell crew who went to compete. It was really fun to hang out with everybody and compete with them for the weekend. That's all I got for today. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and a share, and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more of this content in the future. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and on the internet machine, and I'll leave links for all that in the description box. Till next time, weakness is a disease, strength is the cure. Tier 1 Viking Barbell out. For whatever reason, on the deadlift event in particular, I've done way better in training than... I said that backwards. In the description box. Until then, fucking goddamn.